Very well.
Oh, you don't? Can you hear us?
A little bit, yeah.
She was wondering if you had a view of Oregon for us, but
I can't hear now either.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a little bit hard to hear.
All right, test. All right, we're testing. You can hear us. No? No.
Can you hear us now?
Faint, very faint.
Distantly.
That,
Is the microphone with the camera? Yes. Oh.
I still don't hear much.
Okay. Well, now we're talking again. Can you hear us better? Can you hear
Yeah,
us
a little
better
bit.
now?
A little bit better, yeah.
Mindy, can you hear us okay?
I can hear.
Mindy, are you able to hear us?
I can hear you distantly, yes.
What?
All right, we will do our best to yell.
Okay. Hopefully you won't be hoarse afterwards.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to our November 15th meeting of the Virginia Museum of Natural History Board of Trustees. Thank you for being here. Thank you for traveling. And I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. And for our participation purposes, if our two trustees participating online could just share your reason for not being here in person, and it could simply be that you are 50 miles or more away. So I'll start with you, Dave.
Yeah, I'm probably a couple thousand miles away in Medford, Oregon.
Thanks for joining us 3 hours earlier.
Yes. It's okay. Worthwhile.
Mindy.
Hey, everybody. Good morning. I'm in Richmond.
And Mindy is one of our new board members. And also online, we have Elizabeth Carter Bailey with the foundation joining us. And we also have a new board member here in person, Sarah Bowman. So I'd like to welcome you here. Also we have a new Attorney General representative, Maria Wood.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
Lauren Coleman sends her best. She has departed the Attorney General's office, and so was kind enough to facilitate introduction. So
Good to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
So before we dive in, we do not have a quorum today. So that means we will not be taking any votes. That certainly doesn't stop us from having a productive conversation. So for the approval of minutes, I'm just going to acknowledge we'll hold on those till February, so you can consider that your cliffhanger. And we will move straight to the chair's report, where we can highlight the great things happening here across the museum. And first, our staff spotlight. Dr. Annie Bassett is with us. She has had a milestone year, earning her PhD. Elevating our archaeology program, helping advance the work coming out of the monitoring lab, and not to mention, she is the mom of a 4-year-old and a 7-month-old. So I want to thank Maddie for being here with us on a Saturday morning, and welcome.
Thank you, guys. I'm Maddie with the VMNH Archaeology Lab. I just wanted to give you a little bit of background about me. I joined museum 5 years ago after completing my PhD in coursework. And I'll actually be celebrating my 5-year work anniversary next week. And today I'll just discuss a little about my research as well. So a bit about background. I grew up fishing the rivers of the Chesapeake watershed with my grandfather, who taught me to notice the seasonal rhythms of estuaries, the diversity of life that they supported, and the traces of past people who once lived along their banks. There in the upper corner. And those early experiences sparked a fascination with how people and environments shape one another, and one that led me to study archaeology and geology in undergrad, and eventually to William and Mary, where I completed my master's and PhD. I work at the museum. Here I work largely behind the scenes, managing archaeology collections, building out our reference collection, generating archaeological data, and conducting research. And my research projects primarily use GIS to understand human settlement ecology, which put broadly is the factors or resources that draw people to settle in a particular place. Outside the archaeology lab, I assist in managing the VMNH's geology collections and also with key projects for the local heritage monitoring lab. I'll highlight just one project that we're working on in the archaeology lab. We're using GIS to investigate late woodland settlement patterns in this area within river drainage. We've analyzed the spatial distribution of 179 archaeological sites in the drainage vis-a-vis waterways. And we found that native communities preferentially settled near a narrow range of stream types within the drainage. And we believe they did so because those streams contain the most productive aquatic habitat for fishing and shellfishing. And we'll be developing and publishing on that research in the coming months. And outside the VMNH, I've just spent my time chasing my kids. Thank you so much.
About your dissertation because it's fascinating.
Yeah, so I worked for my dissertation in the Horn of Africa, looking at settlement ecology there as well, but focusing on pastoralist societies, looking at the features of the landscape that were drawing local animal herding groups to build sites in certain areas. And this is one of the pictures from my dissertation fieldwork. I was mapping a scatter of shell debris from a bead making workshop. And as you can see, the landscape is quite different in that lower left-hand corner photo from Virginia, but I still am able to apply a lot of similar questions to my work in Virginia. So that's very exciting.
Anybody have any questions for Matt?
I'll ask a question that I often ask of Carol, which is, have you found any brook trout bones in the collection?
We have not, but we would love to. I think preservation is tricky.
Yeah,
They're so small.
that's
but
exactly
I
what
would
Carol
be,
did.
yeah, I would be thrilled to find some.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Maddie.
Okay, and now we're gonna move into we just take a look at a transformational gift from Rank Burials. I think Brian's gonna share that. Okay.
Well, so I'm happy to provide an overview. It's pretty broad. I'm happy to answer any questions. So it's a very exciting time, obviously, for a lot of reasons. One, of course, to start, I know everyone's probably familiar, but of course, the VMNH Foundation is supporting 501c3 nonprofit. Provides support for the museum of vision through a variety of things, through the annual fund memberships, grants, corporate partnerships, of course, endowment. There are also things like in-kind gifts, things like that. But these are the primary ways the foundation supports. So as far as endowment, so you may or may not have heard, we received a large historic endowment gift. Recently, so September is a combination of three different allotments, totaling over 4.5 million. So Mr. Frank W. Mariels, this is Mr. Mariels' younger days, passed away early in 2025. We were not aware of their relationship prior to, but obviously he lived near our Douglas facility, visited here at least once. And we feel sure they had a really good experience. So probably talk to Kenneth or Letitia or someone out front. And if you talk to them, you're inspired. We have been in contact with his niece, his cousin. She's got a family of young kids, so they visited. So we're very proud of the gift. We lost activity since September, and I want to talk a little bit about that. So again, we redistributions totaling just over 4.5 million. Largest gift ever to the VMNH Foundation. So with the overall total, of course, it changes by the hour, but it's over 5.7 million currently. So that's all the endowment funds combined. So going forward, obviously this is going to generate interest revenue for the museum and its projects. So, but for now, from now until early to mid 2027, we're going to focus on the Young Explorer Center and Adventure Exhibit. So all of the interest revenue from those gifts is going to be allotted to that. And we'll talk more about what's going to come after that. But basically, it's going to be a 5% annual allocation every fall. We're looking at doing a trailing 3-year average program, but we're going to be specific that we don't want to start that right away because our 3-year average is going to be a lot lower because our previous couple of years. So we'll start with 5%. We'll transition to a trailing 5-year average. And that's going to help insulate us from market fluctuations to make sure we have. But it's going to be for the staff and with the board of trustees, obviously, to identify what's a priority. So every summer, Joe and I, of course, the trustees will figure out, of the money we have coming up, what's the priority. And right now, it's the Young Explorer Center and Adventure Center. So overall endowment. So the report you have today for the advanced report is through September 30th. Since September 30th, we received the final allotment from the Mariels Endowment gift. So this is a snapshot as of today. So it looks really good here, but it looks a little bit better. But for the endowment, I just want to provide a kind of breakdown. We've got 4 major funds. So the General Endowment Fund, this is what the Mariels gift helps support. The Henneke Memorial Fund, which supports research throughout Virginia, made possible by Bill Henneke in memory of his late brother, Pete Henneke. Obviously, the Richard Hoffman Fund, and then the Pete Boyce Fund, which is a research and collection specific fund. It was the first fund established. It's in the mid-20s, 25,000 at this point. So all of these funds have their specific purposes, and they've been transformed. So I want to mention too, we also have pending estate gifts. So we know at least one, we had a longtime donor, former board member who sadly passed away in early 2025. We've been notified that we're in her estate. We don't have specifics yet, but we anticipate finding out definitely before the next board meeting, or probably the next one. All of the estates elements have been sort of finalized. So more to come on that. We also have at least one anonymous estate gift from the Waynesboro region. And we know because an attorney from that region reached out to get all of our information, all of our details. We did ask, could you share who it is? And they want to remain anonymous, which is fine. They might be 30 years old, they might be older, we just don't know. That's real testament to the work that we do, the curators do, and educators. Never going to hear words getting done. So more about the endowment. So obviously mentioned the transformative estate gift for the Pete Henneke Memorial Fund as well. That's actively providing research support. So we've got a doctoral candidate at Virginia Tech who's currently being funded by that program. She's doing the work. She will be here. Part of her obligations to be at Dyna Festival in 2026. So she'll be here at a table to share some research. Very exciting. Hoffman Fund, Cal, is a testament to the fact that makes possible so much of what Richmond is global research, even Texas is far in. Exotic location.
Very exotic.
Yeah. So more about the Young Explorer Center. I think Jennifer's going to talk more detail, but this is going to be obviously in the form of library space. roughly 1,700 square feet in the main space. The first step is going to be removal of the shelving. So we're under contract now with Patterson Oak, which is the vendor for Space Saver, which is the type of shelving that's in there. So the week of December 8th through 12th, they're going to be here to do a turnkey removal. They will disassemble, transport all the materials to Douglas to be stored until Douglas is ready to have it set back up. So the curators, trustees, all of us, at that time will determine where we want the shelving to be there. So right now it's movable shelving, but it will be fixed shelving. We did verify with the company. Split up, it can be reconfigured, there's lots of different ways to use it. So you can collections, library materials, that'd be something that would be hard to see. Yeah, so we'll talk more about that. Also Petra, so we don't want to forget about the Petra exhibit. It's all tied in with the Young Explorer Center. So the current Discovery Reef space, the early childhood space, is very small, but it's very popular, so it's crowded. Getting there right now. Jumping off the ship and sign says don't. So that will be transformed into the Petra exhibit. It's a perfect room. It's big enough. It's also, there's no windows, which is great. So it'll be a simulated cave environment to sort of replicate the cave where Petra was found. So that we're targeting early to mid 2027 as well for that, sort of in conjunction. Not only with the endowment support, but also the Hermes Family Foundation has been a long time supporter. Not only of the exhibit feature, but the research and the prep work, lab, CT scans, and all of this. The hospital locally has been generous in donating in-kind CT scans. That's not cheap. They're upset. 15 to 20,000 worth of in-kind donations for CT scans. So it's very much appreciated. And the staff there were super excited. More people squeezed into the CT area at the hospital. What are you guys doing? We're all really excited. So just looking forward, obviously this is transformative. So our endowment gift, it's sort of a new era. But with messaging, we'll make sure it's seed funding. So for Young Explorer Center, Petra, all the future things we're doing, it is important seed money, but we still need other support. We need grants, partnerships, individual business. Focus. So obviously, I'm sure Joe and other people have got lots of phone calls from vendors since the everyone wants to work with us. So we're all professional and we're going to identify opportunities, but also just be prepared. And just like marketing funds, if you try to do everything, sometimes you don't do nothing. And what I mean by that is we spread ourselves too thin. So some years there may be a few projects we work on. Some years it might be just one thing, but that's something. Yeah, and so endowment, I've used the example before, but it's the work that we do that generates these gifts. So one example is the Carter Estate received right before the pandemic. She was a huge fan of Pin Fraser's work back in the late 80s, early 90s, and we saw a gift 20 years later. So we didn't know we were in her state, but in our notes it's clear she was a huge supporter of the area. So we saw it 20 years later. So it's the work we do now. And like we say, we don't let us watch. So we didn't know. Frank obviously had experience here. It's up to us to do that work. So work curators do, the educators, not sales, which is fine. So that's a quick overview of the endowment, new gifts, upcoming projects. Like I said, Jeff will talk about that. I can answer any questions.
Incidentally, we have had active on the website an opportunity if you want to do a monthly donation. So for instance, my credit card is dinged, I can't remember, it's $10 or $20 a month that go directly to the endowment. And I will say that especially now in light of receiving the Mariel's gift, it seems like such a small amount. But I keep going back, and since we have new people here, I'll use the same old story. When I was at the Cleveland Museum of Natural History, when I left there, it was a $10 million annual budget, 7% of which was covered by the endowment. And it was because of the trustees in the 1950s who sat around a table like this and said, look, if we want this institution to go forward in perpetuity, we've got to come up with a long-term endowment. It did not help that generation of trustees. They did not live to see the fruits of that. And so that $10 I give a month, whatever, I'm not going to see that, but that's going to grow with all the other small gifts that go to it. So please consider it as an easy way to support this.
I'll also point out, since there's a couple of new people that haven't heard this before, but what I do when I travel to these meetings is I fill out the travel reimbursement form, and then at the end of the year, I add up the total of that money that comes to me from the state, and I donate that back to the museum. So don't forego that travel reimbursement, because you can use it for good purpose.
It's obviously amazing. It's like still head spinning. You guys have been in the weeds with it. I try not to be paranoid, but is there any angle to this where the state knows now, like, you guys don't need as much money for Waynesboro, that kind of thing? That's the way my.
We don't exactly bring it up.
Yeah.
And as a matter of practice, we've been very careful. And it's accurate to say it's getting to the VMNH foundation. And the revenue is managed on that side, and then once the allocations are made, the goal is to keep it in the foundation. Obviously, there's no benefit to us to transfer into 200,000. No secrets, but it's just very high.
And we're not doing anything, say the MFA doesn't already. Just using them as an example,
Yeah.
other discussions as well.
Well, and while it is transformational, truly, I mean, if you just look at our just general operating budget, I mean, that would equal a year of and some. So it is a lot, but it isn't a lot. Especially when we're looking at having the same budget we've had since 2008. And when you think about anything with regards to staff retention or what staff earnings, that's recurring, that's not a one-time thing. So I do appreciate, and I know we're gonna talk about this later, but staff looking at what is a one-time thing that we could do to make a difference that we do get to benefit from, and that our members and people that come here for programming.
It also illustrates the importance of the foundation, both before and after the endowment growth. In that, if you just look at our budget and you take salaries, payroll, benefits, and utilities, just those three, that's over 90% of our budget. So there isn't a lot of wood do stuff. If it wasn't for the foundation, they've always been very good about funding our exhibits, research programs, scholarships for outreach and so forth, amongst other things. This, of course, is going to magnify. You want to jump in?
Sure. Well, could you pull the, I'll stand a little closer to the microphone, so.
So while Jennifer's and Ryan are getting this pulled up, we know that, and I'll pass around, there was a night, the city of Martinsville, had a nice proclamation in honor of Frank Muril's for his memory as well. So we know he's the employee, lived near Douglas Avenue, surely saw the museum, but we know that, his one visit, that we're aware of, there's a photo of him and his cousins, three sons, and literally right through these doors at an interactive exhibit. And so his cousin made a comment that it truly had an impact, that one visit. And so to be able, and it's just staff and look at our strategic plans and what can we do to honor him and celebrate him. And so the Young Explorers Center seems like a perfect fit, as well as the Petra exhibit. And so I'm just grateful for Joe and the team looking at what can we do now to impact young people and families as they come through here. So thank you, Jennifer, for sharing some of these ideas. And this is a part where we can provide some feedback if we have any. Just look forward to it.
Right, these are all ideas, and we've been very excited. We get to talk about something that's gonna happen, you know, not 15 or 20 years down the road, but like in a year and a half. So we have been meeting as a staff and coming up with some different ideas, looking at some different vendors. And so I just want to share some of the ideas. These are nothing is written in stone right now. These are just some ideas for a early learning center, early childhood education area. All right, so the first thing that we have here are turntables. What I want to point out about this is they are on wheels. These are exhibit or elements that are on wheels. That's something that's very important to us. We want to be able to move those exhibits or those particular elements in and out so that children don't get tired. They have different things to do every 6 months or something like that. Since we have some room in Douglas Avenue, that seems like that's something that we could very easily do. So that's a turntable. It looks like several people are using that right now. You know, these are just ideas, so we're not sure exactly what we want yet, but they are ideas for the future. A really cool watercolor wall, just something that they can touch, something they can do, something they can create different things every time they come, they can create something different. This is a wind column, and as you will notice, it's tall. The ceilings in that room are about 12 feet, so I don't know how much room we would have for a wind column. But if you look back here, there's a long wall right back there, it kind of mimics our big tall window that's in that room. So we're talking about maybe some kind of vacuum, something that children can do, maybe perhaps it goes up the window, perhaps to the ceiling and back down, you know, something cool like that. We're not sure exactly what. In our talking, in our staff speaking, with some of the staff that have younger kids, like the Bassett's and others that are, have the younger children right now, we wanna make sure that we have elements that change. And that they don't just press a button and one thing pops up and that's it. We wanna make sure that they have plenty of variety of things that they can do with, certain, actions that they perform. All right, water play, oh boy. This is something, we do have water in that room, so, it wouldn't be terrible to run water out into the floor, not literally the floor, but out into that area. We're talking about maybe sanitation issues, possibly mess, you know, in the floor. I'm not so sure about this, but that is something that a lot of young children's centers have, so, you know, it's on the table.
Kids are always wet and dirty.
Yeah. Yeah, I was stuck in there. The ball wall, this is something super cool, physics, definitely involved with physics and inverted planes and all those kinds of things. We have lots of children at the same time, another important feature, having lots of hands on one particular, element. So that they are working together, interaction, very important for children's learning. Super cool, you put a wiffle ball in that and it goes around, and make all kinds of activities. Okay, that's kind of a smaller water feature, maybe for the younger kids. The big blue blocks, oh boy, I think the best picture maybe is the far right over here, the mixed blue block set, imaginative play. Definitely, life skills, we're working together, hopefully not hitting each other with the big blue blocks. Lots of angles and curves. So we have this big, have some, you know, have some extra money, we can buy all these extra cool things, tubes and all kinds of things like that, that really, really supplement these big blue blocks. Awesome. Dino blocks. This is a puzzle. These particular dino blocks make about 5 different dinos, so they can create their own, creature if they want to. I included this because it is, the Cincinnati Children's Museum. I like the way that they have the steps going up here and just something for kids to climb on. Our target audience is 3 years old up to about 3rd grade, so about 9 years old. So something that they can climb on. You notice that this nice wide area here. Opportunities for their adults in their lives to interact with them. This is kind of a neat thing. I think this was in Charlotte. No, this is also in Cincinnati. Simple machine where they're running some wiggles off. Get those wiggles out. In Charlotte, they have the cool wiffle ball. Inverted plane. All right, and one of the things that Christy has done is she, in her Doodlebug group, which is kind of our target audience, the Doodlebugs meet, I think, once a month, and she's done an informal poll of the things that they would like. What would the parents like to see? So one of the things that they would like to see are cubbies. So that's an example of a beehive kind of cubby. They would like to see seating, comfortable seating. They would like to have somewhere to park their strollers. Something else to think about. I didn't even think about that. somewhere to lay their diaper bag, somewhere to change their child, somewhere, or perhaps to have a nursing parents, nursing mothers, space. So, all those things are what we're looking at. The space is about 1,700 square feet. So while it's, fairly large, you can run out of space very quickly. Each element needs about 3 feet around it for, for ingress and egress. This is the brand new, on the right is the brand new, it has not even opened yet. This is the children's nature area, Discovery Place in Charlotte. So one of the things we want to do for sure is take staff to other areas like Greensboro, Lynchburg, Rawlings, so different areas that have these wonderful children's center and actually watch and see how long are the kids playing with these particular elements, because what we think they will love, they might not care 2 cents about. So we want to make sure we definitely get bang for our buck. And we actually think out the things that are absolutely the best. I also want to make sure that we incorporate SOLs where we can, for sure. So the physics wall, those would definitely be SOLs. Other things, I'm sure we can find other SOLs for the other things like the water wall and all that kind of thing too. So yeah, so what we want to do are floor improvements. There is carpeted and there are tracks from those shelving that we've been talking about. Their tracks are in the cement floor. So we've got to work on that. We want to paint the walls, of course. We want to do a mural, some type of wall covering, some kind of adult furniture we're looking at, and then of course the lessons, math angles, and perhaps painted on the surfaces. We're not completely sure exactly where we're going to go with that, but everything's on the table. Any ideas? If you know of any vendors that maybe you work with, interior, Parks and Rec, anything that you perhaps know about, we are all ears and welcome your input.
Lauren Woodson yesterday, for instance, she has experience in Parks and Recreation, so she gave us contact info for a vendor that does primarily like outdoor related kinds of things, but many of which translate to indoors. That's gonna be a new vendor for us, so that's what we're looking for. And your unofficial homework, of course, is as you go to places. Now, I visit new museums every year. I'm actually, for conference, I'm going to Minnesota in February, I'm a smart guy. Yeah. Anyway, St. Paul. But I'm gonna pay different attention to the children's areas. Normally, when I go to these galleries, I'm looking at things like security, case quality, lighting, all these different details. That's what I'm there for. I honestly, I don't pay much attention to the children's areas, but I'm going to do that because we need to borrow some ideas to do this, right? Yes.
Come up to the Explore More Museum in Harrisonburg.
Okay.
Yeah, which is absolutely very, very nice. The question I have is, how will you link this to the outdoors? How are you, I mean, this is an incredible idea, but it seems like part of this could be outdoor learning as well.
That's a great question. I mean, we have the pavilion, which is step one towards connecting us to Wilson Park. And so it actually was one of the more recent ideas in our discussions. It's like, hey, while we're looking at these things, why don't we have some kind of connection between the Mariel Center, the Young Explorers Center, and the Gene S. Adams Education Pavilion? So I think it's an open question, and we certainly should. The other thing too, now unfortunately, the view isn't the best. There's nothing wrong with it, but we have those big windows. It's one of the prime real estate areas where we have big showy windows. It looks out to a little patch of low grass, a couple of flagpole, asphalt, but hey, sky's the limit, so.
But I think we should take opportunities if we can to connect that space with what the museum does. So the mural, for example, would be a great opportunity to, I mean, I'm spitballing here, but it could be a walk from the coast to the Blue Ridge. Somehow you depict that. It doesn't have to be a literal thing. It could be a very stylized thing. But using natural colors, I mean, I get the whole idea of being colorful and bold. But it would be nice to see little elements of transition and somehow reflect what the museum does. So there's going to be a few bugs there. There's going to be a reference to native peoples. There's going to be a reference to dinosaurs. And these things could take all kinds of forms, whether it's just colors on a wall or an actual activity or something in between.
And we'll sweeten the deal with that are, because one of the first things we'll do, and some of this will be done with maintenance reserve funds, we're gonna do, it's not gonna be our biggest project, but it's gonna be the details. We have some flooring that's worn out, we have crash bars and doors that are 18 years old, and they just don't work well. These details that, you know, no one ever thinks about, but we're going to load into that some improvements to the hallway back there. So one of the things we're gonna do, I don't know why the choice was made to wallpaper that when the building is built. Right, whatever, but it is peeling, right, and it really, so what the first thing we'll do using maintenance reserve funds is we're gonna improve walls and so forth. Ryan's talking to the guy who does the panels on the Genius Adams Education Pavilion, as well as the mural that goes over the top of the windows. That's brand new, actually, you should check it out. He came and looked at the hallway, and you know, he has some examples of, say, like woodland scenes where you have animals hidden in, but you kind of have to look, you know, if you just walk by, you're never gonna notice, right? I found one I'm kind of partial to, right, and we have a big blank wall right next to the Young Explorer Center court. But you can get a paleontology, where's Waldo, literally with a movable Waldo that can get placed somewhere there, you have all these dinosaurs and palm trees. It's all cartoon, you remember the book from what, the 80s or whatever? You know, so all of this is on the table, and yeah, I mean, I think this whole experience, the reason I'm bringing that up too, is that when you go into the Young Explorer Center, one of the things we talked about was to use the concept of murals appropriately placed, you know, and something like that, a walk across the 5 physiographic provinces of Virginia without having to use that word,
Right.
you know?
Or even, it could be even so simple as depicting the 4 seasons.
Yeah.
You know, just somehow, because I look at this, it's an important demographic on multiple levels. And I look at it as a gateway to keep them coming back.
Yes.
To keep the kids coming back as they go through their academic careers, keep parents coming back so they themselves say, oh, look at what I can do. And as they get older, this is the place I want to bring my grandchildren to, you know, it should be as seamless as possible with the entire exhibit space that we have.
And that brings up the idea, this is part of our future business plan, that the most beneficial thing, if you're not an EBT card holder, if you're an EBT card holder, of course, you have free access, but if you're not, you're gonna wanna get your family membership, if you're gonna bring your kid weekly or monthly or something like that, it'll pay itself off in 2 months, right, or less. And so we're anticipating, and we will push with a membership drive associated with this, an opportunity that, you know, I think our last number was around 600 members or something like that. That, you know, we want to see an increase in that with sort of membership drive.
It's really exciting to start being able to visualize this and know, as Jennifer said, that, you know, it's gonna happen. It's not, you know, as soon as this happens or as soon as that falls in place, it's going to happen. And so this is great.
And I'm jumping the gun on the agenda here slightly, but we start our new exhibits manager, and she full well recognizes that this is one of our priorities coming. She starts Monday, so you know, likely, as long as calendars work out and stuff for the staff introduction, like Maddie did today, I'm gonna meet her in February.
Melody, I'm just thinking about how the board continues to interact with this, and I know that we had historically an exhibits committee, and I think it's now sitting under the education committee, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe a subcommittee that is exhibits, and maybe we want to refresh that and make sure that we can certainly provide direct feedback to Jennifer as board members, but maybe there's an ongoing process that happens.
It is usually just like a footnote at the end of meetings.
Yeah, and maybe we need to raise that a little bit, given because we have this opportunity now, and I think there'll be other opportunities to involve ourselves.
Yeah, as with the turnover we've had and the recent addition of board members, plus by next month, we should, I would imagine we're gonna have 2 more assigned to us, so you'll have the committee structure and so forth. I think exhibits, I'm sorry, the education committee, education/exhibits committees, kind of short way.
It is in our bylaws. So
Yes.
it is something that
Maybe even occasionally include the exhibits person on some of the committee meetings.
absolutely, I think the ex officio of it.
We can as a consideration, if you would like us to provide a suggested change of verbiage to our bylaws, it's something to vote on. If you want to make the exhibits manager ex officio, if I remember right, I think the education manager is ex officio on that committee. And we can add that to the language for both.
Okay. And who is the best person for us? If we're out, we see it, we take a picture of something we want to share. Do you want us to send it to Joe? Yes. Okay. All right. So,
And the pictures are great, we love that, but observations too, like if you see an exhibit element in a young children's center that is being completely ignored, let us know. And just, oh, seriously, you don't want to buy that, you know, so, but, and the opposite is true as well.
And has serious maintenance issues, so water was mentioned. I've also seen these exhibits where kids can go in and unearth fossils, you know, they move some material around, and sometimes it's like that. Crushed rubber type
Yeah.
stuff, and it's all over the floor.
Picture.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of that in the cards, especially with the gallery. And that does bring up one last thing for future board consideration, but it is my intention to make a proposal to the board next calendar year that, no, sorry, it won't be next calendar year. It'll be the following calendar year. When, you know, we're gonna do the press release, we're gonna invite the secretary, we'll invite the governor to come to the opening and whatnot. It'll be the young children's education and play center for Southern Virginia, right? There won't be anything similar to it for some distance. So as such, we'll make a big deal out of it, but we would then use that as leverage to put in a request for a new position to be funded by the state that would have expertise in early childhood education. So as we sort of work with Christie, would take over the Doodle Bugs program, most likely assist with the heavily populated homeschool program, but then be the point person for maintenance, upkeep, additions to, and so forth, and development of new content for the source.
Sounds good.
great. Yeah, this is a great extension to the work that Christy and her team do with bringing science to life and natural history. And so we're looking forward to that. And Mindy, I saw your question. Jennifer will be the contact, and she will be following up with all of us next week. And so you'll have her direct email. We'll put a note in your email, just reminding us when we have any ideas of the good or the bad or the not well liked exhibits to share that.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. All right, and so moving on, I welcomed our two new board members, and we have 2 seats that are still open, and we do expect those to be filled this calendar year. However, since they have yet to be filled, if you're aware of anyone that should submit, just as you submitted nomination, or put in your interest form, please do that quickly. It will also help us with our form once we have those filled, so that contributes to that as well. With regards funding update, the only thing that I had to share, just want to thank Joe and staff, the foundation, Lisa, going to Richmond, we're having conversations, we are optimistic about about next year's budget, including something with regards to staff retention. 2008, same budget, and so price of everything has changed since 2008, and so the museum has done a great job of doing more with less, but some things just need to be fixed at state level, and so this will be one of those opportunities. So we'll do that. Is there anything you wanted to add? Anything?
We just need to keep our eye on the economy, because right now everything's flush, the rainy day fund is flush. The governor has anticipated that as the governor developing the budget that we released December 15th thereabouts. He's gonna have about $2 billion to maneuver So everything's great now, but the anticipation is unemployment will rise, and GDP is going to change. It's not going to be as rosy as it has been, and that's going to eventually have ramifications, which could eventually, after a couple of years, lead down to us. So we just need to keep our eye on that, and it's better to have a plan front than it is to react from behind the eight ball. So we're doing our best. Jonathan does a great job. You're like almost weekly contact with your budget analyst, you know, and so she has a lot of the student budget wise that, yes, that we will easily have, so. All right.
Thank you. So normally we would entertain action on the consent agenda, treasury report, facilities, Waynesboro advocacy, and then committee updates. We'll consider these, we'll receive those today, but we'll just hold formal approval to our next meeting when we have a forum. I do know that Joe's going to address the strategic plan in his update. Does anyone have anything they would like to ask or note with regard to the treasury report, facilities, or rights?
I'll just add, since it is a major project, the Waynesboro detailed design is fully approved and completed, that's behind us. We did make, that we reported past the request to move to the capital construction for this budget, so we'll look out for that next month. We'll report once we know.
So that would be part of the December 15th budget announcement.
Yes.
Thank you. Right now, we'll hear from Dr. Art Evans with Research and Collections Committee.
As always, the materials are in the packet that you received, so I'm not going to belabor those too much. There are no action items to share with you today. That's a good thing because we couldn't do anything about it anyway. So hopefully there'll be more bodies in February, and we can take care of those little bits of business that we are required to do. As always, we had great discussions about all kinds of topics, and first and foremost, as the committee, we wanted to congratulate Maddie Bassett on earning her doctorate in archaeology, and it was great to have her here this morning to share what she does and a little bit about her research. We also had to follow up on the search for a herpetologist. And interviews are underway. The last set of interviews will be on Monday, that's day after tomorrow. And so hopefully in a matter of weeks, we'll have a clearer picture on what that will look like with an eye toward having somebody here next summer. We also had just a brief overview of Douglas Avenue, and things are progressing. I won't go into all the details, but as you know, Douglas Avenue is what we refer to as Douglas Avenue is the original Natural History Museum that opened in the late 1980s. And since the opening of this building on Starling Avenue, it's become a storage facility, and the building had not been kept up over the years, but now the state is committed to seeing to that it's brought up to at least its former glory. And then it's up to us to do what's necessary to turn that space into something that can serve at the very minimum as a temporary site for storing collections. We're in desperate need of space here. And maybe considering some of it for long-term collections. And there's also opportunities for other activities to go on at that space. So for those of you that haven't seen it, I'm looking at Mindy. I'm thinking about this. She probably has no idea what I'm talking about, but at some point when you come to Martinsville, be sure that somebody here gets to take you over there. And even though it may look a little rough, all I can say is the improvement has been dramatic since we took on this project. And I'm very excited about the prospects of using that as a storage space and for other activities. And we also just briefly talked about, we're looking at plans for how we might improve things for staff here at the museum. And one of the things that we talked about was a dedicated field vehicle for the museum. Of course, there are going to be a lot of things competing for attention, but I've urged the committee to be considering things that we might have been putting off for many years let's not put it off anymore. Let's talk about it. Let's get it on the table. So it can become part of the discussions here in front of the full board, and we can make some of these things a reality. No one at the museum wants for wheels. If you've got to go someplace, you'll get there. You don't have to walk. But there is a need for a vehicle that's dedicated for field use, for getting off the paved driveway and getting personnel and equipment out in the field, something that has a bit of clearance. This is something that's been needed for a while now. This is certainly something that we should be discussing in future meetings. That's it for me. Thank you. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Did I miss something?
No, I didn't know if Ben had an update or.
Ben, did you want to add anything?
I do not have any updates. I think you covered it.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
sorry. Thank you,
Sorry. And as always, I want to thank Ben as my liaison with the museum. He's the one that makes sure that all these reports and signatures and all the business gets taken care of, and as always, is much appreciated. Thank you.
I should have mentioned too, before we leave committee reports altogether, the new board members, I encourage you to consider which committee you might want to involve yourself in, and you're welcome to join facilities and info. I'm sure Art would say the same about research and collections. So, and I know that you'll work with Melanie to get those appointments. We look forward to that work.
And please don't think you have to know something going in. It's a great education to, this is how you're gonna find out what's going on. It took me a year and a half to get a feeling that I had a clue what this body does. And I remember my first meeting very clearly, and I was clueless what everybody was voting for and talking about. The only way to get past that is to throw yourself into committee work and ask for help or clarification, and in no time, you will be leading conversations and pursuing paths that you've never considered before, so have at it.
Thank you. All right, now we're gonna move to education, public programs committee report. Thank you.
Yeah, so if you'll notice, Christie's not here, I believe she's at conference, was that right? Yes. So that's a good excuse for her not being here, and I won't have any backup, I'll just make some stuff up. When we met 2 Fridays ago to accommodate the fact that she wouldn't be in town. And it was really nice that the whole newly added to education staff was there. So Christy was there as long as, well, Jordan and Annabelle. So it was nice to be able to hear from them a little bit about the kind of things they're doing, looking at. As always with the numbers, we look at those in terms of the numbers we're being served at the museum, distance learning, remote programming, and then the trends continue to go up. So we're getting, the staff it needed to be added to because we're very, very busy. Just one note that I really enjoyed, somebody mentioned the homeschool program earlier. They're already using the GS Adams Education Pavilion to do some interactive stuff with these groups that are on the site. So really, really fun stuff, and they're already being able to take advantage of the fact that they have this covered space. And it's like an extension of the museum, so I think it's really well. Christine, our team working very well.
And of course, they had, her team has also had things set up during Bones and Booze and our festivals. They're always out there. All the science is outside of their tents. The weather's been great. They did a great job bringing that into the festivals. Hey, Joe, so we're at papers, executive director's report.
Okay, I want to start off with my technical incompetence. I was trying to reply to Mindy about committees. The committees are variable in terms of when they meet, and the second thing to mind is that by state policy, every other one can be virtual. So and Jennifer and I will send out details regarding that. I also noticed Dave seconded your idea on the chat there that a field view was a good idea. All right, so as far as museum operations, a few things to bring up, and I'm sorry while I was mucking around with the chat, Nathan, I hope I'm not covering something you already did, but I do want to point out, since you mentioned, Christie's work, our homeschool science and engineering academy. This is the first year we're doing 2 rounds of it, so we have a morning session and an afternoon session on homeschool Wednesdays. They're both full, there are waiting lists, we see a growing population there, so it's great for the bottom line, it's great for our outreach. However, education is at capacity for sure there. We've heard about our preparations for the 250th, so VA 250 will be in full swing starting in January. Brian will give updates on what we're doing there. That has been a way in which we really kind of generated some goodwill within the Commonwealth. I mean, when the secretary, said that all state agencies are required to participate in some way, and she pulled me aside and said, I have no idea how science teams can do this, good luck. And so we came back and we actually got some really cool ideas. So Brian will cover that. We had our natural history of chocolate event, a month ago, 2 months ago, whatever it was. So it was a very nice time. It was a pilot event. So it was $100 per plate. We capped it at, I think it was 48 people based upon seating. We nearly sold out. So it shows there was good response. However, I do have to point out that our chef not only did not charge us, she didn't incur any expense. She did not charge us for her services. She even loaned us personnel and serving materials and so forth. So to do this again at $100 per plate, we would have to find another chef as generous, or we would have to increase the price, which might, for our area, might be a little tough, right? However, the word has gotten out. People have wondered, is this something we do up in the Waynesboro area? Is this something we do in the Richmond area as well? So we're looking into that. And it doesn't have to be, this was natural history of chocolate. It was really like the natural history of food theme, with chocolate being the subject. This one, there are other topics that we do as well. Yes, ma'am.
Did you give her a free membership?
She is a member.
She is a member, so she's a member and a longtime donor,
Good.
right? So we have a very good relationship with her
Good.
and whatnot. So I think we're all good. And she makes money catering my wedding. Back in the day. I have to say, I got married during the pandemic, and so we couldn't have a honeymoon. And so she actually, when she catered the food for the wedding reception, it was, and you could only invite 20 people, it was back during that power restriction, but she did foods of the world for us. So every stop for the food was a different place, so that was kind of our. So yeah, so like I said, we have a good relationship there. That will be difficult to replicate. On March 21st, another date, I forgot. RBA 250 members event is February 19th. Please try to make it to that. It will be fun with food, wine tastings. We're gonna have available a custom beer that is made from Thomas Jefferson's corn beer recipe for sampling and so forth. And we'll have other activities celebrating Thomas Jefferson and his contributions to the natural world. On March 21st, another opportunity to participate if you like. If I'm regurgitating here, I'm sorry, I cannot answer questions regarding this. If you're familiar with Bridgerton, does it sound familiar to people? Okay, we're having Starlington on March 21st. So I'm gonna be informed as to what kind of wig I'm supposed to wear to that. So, but it is gonna be, for this year, it will be take the place of our very popular speakeasy event, right? So this is not, it's never been meant to be a fundraiser. We always make money off of creating, we have seed money to start next year's event. That's how Starlington will be funded. However, it's a way that we look outwards towards the community and engage people and make sure that these folks are staying very close to CM. So this year's event, Richardson style, I have to watch that. So okay.
She really doesn't know what you're getting into.
What you are definitely up for.
From what people have told me, I've got a bit of an idea. Okay, so it's all good. Let me see here. I think we've covered everything else on my agenda. I would like Jonathan to walk us very quickly. As far as capital projects, we have covered most everything. I will just say Genus Adams Education Pavilion, as Nathan mentioned, it's already seeing really good news, right? So that in part is Christie. We have rental inquiries going out for the spring, or not going out, coming in for the spring and so forth. And can you give an update, Jonathan, on our maintenance reserve project with the former mobile science outreach trailer?
Yes, so some of you are aware, but going back kind of to the beginning, we had a trailer in Waynesboro, with exhibits in it. That trailer was the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts trailer previously. And it served its time there and was gifted to us, which we appreciate. And so it's been the summer, Waynesboro, it's been kind of a traveling, we call it the traveling exhibit situation. So in the fall of last year, we started planning. Spring of this year, we put it out for bid to have it renovated. We received bids. 2 of those companies came in and viewed the trailer, and said it was too much for them to handle. And then Stubco in North Carolina, which is it's where the trailer originated. They were the contractor for the original Virginia Museum of Fine Arts trailer. They're doing several of the VA 250 trailers that have been mentioned that are circulating around Virginia. They have met. They've gone through it with a fine tooth comb. They've found some structural, I don't want to say damage, but some structural issues.
Wear and tear, it's
Yeah.
20 years old.
Just typical wear and tear. We got rust on the frame, et cetera. They've given us kind of a shortened lifespan for the trailer, but they have agreed. They will renovate it inside, clean it up, put a wrap on, make sure it's watertight, so that we can have exhibits in the actual trailer. And return it to Waynesboro, set it up, and that's where it will live. So we can build the museum.
Yeah, so it will basically be used during city festivals. We had traditionally run it during farmers market hours. It's very popular. And when it comes time that we move the capital construction pool and a contractor is ready to start taking up asphalt, we'll have to make up our mind. Do we move it? Do we surplus it? Whatever. The other thing I'll also add is that the city is willing that once it comes back, there is a power pole right nearby. To run it, we have to rent a generator. And it's one of those ones that's tow behind, and it's pretty substantial piece of equipment. So instead of incurring that expense every time we want to run it properly, they will hook it up to the power pole. And so that's all possible. So that will help with our footprint for our outreach up there.
And you think you'll be back?
Did they give a timeline with the
We're targeting a festival.
Well, yeah, we've made a commitment, and they said it shouldn't be a problem for May
Yes.
3rd.
Okay.
3rd, yeah, what was it? It's River, well, there's something before that. Wait, Riverfest is that earliest? Oh, no, it's always that time of year. Okay, yeah, it must be that then, because there's another one, there's a museum rodeo that tourism is doing up there. So that must be following that, so it'll be May. What I'd like to do now, I have 2 other things that need to be covered, our advancement report and our strategic plan, so if I can pass it over. Oh, right, that's, yeah, exactly. Can you cover the advancement report? Sure.
So I'm gonna kind of mix it up a little bit, because we already talked a lot about sort of major elements of the advancement, like development. We talked about annual fund memberships, that kind of thing. So I'll just say overall, revenue's good, both on the museum side and the foundation side. Memberships are continuing to grow, visitation's growing. Getting out and different things, not only endowment, but also greater awareness, so giving, certain things good there. Museums are all strong, very strong, we had a good turnout of booths, so on. So, but I just I'm gonna switch a little bit and talk more about exhibits this time. So exhibits, of course, falls within advancement as well, but it often gets overshadowed by fundraising, which is good. So it's, we're talking about fundraising, marketing, exhibits, all sort of public facing parts of the museum. So just a few highlights there, and I'll just point out too, Bethany Fisher was our former exhibits manager, did a great job. She was here for about 2.5 years. She left in early September. Lila is our new exhibits manager starting Monday. So what have we done in that sort of interim time? We sit back. So just this, everything I'm talking about happened between the exhibit managers, and that's a testament to all the staff, everybody pitched in. You go by Carmel Church, we did an upgrade there, so we've done a new large screen, nice slideshow, replaced some broken interactives with some key sort of low-tech interactives, focused on home bed. Soul Light has a new case, so we have out of order interactive. It's been there for a while, so we replaced that last week with new case, new lighting. Good job there by staff. As far as VN250, so we received a grant earlier this year. I think it happened officially after the last meeting, but we received a $10,000 grant from BTC for VN250. It's a matching grant, so with that $10,000, we're also going to have a $5,000 grant donation from an individual, so $15,000 for a combination of the VH250 exhibit, but also the publication. So we're doing a special VH250 edition of Virginia Explorer. So that started late September. It's already so next to Ben, writing those articles, myself, Joe, everybody. Really proud of that. So by the next board meeting, what else? So for the VH250, we've already done some moving of elements, so we're going to feature quad. We've got some cases that used to be in this room that are moved out over to life. We've also got panels that will cover the general wall in the lobby, so the names will be still recognized on the museum. We're going to use that large space to feature going on the map from the National Stage. And speaking of that, the book itself will be featured. We received, of course, the funding, so we ordered a very nice case from Gaylord Archival last week. So it's got UV protection, it's got humidity control. It's a big case for small book or something like that. So we're using surveying tools, obviously the signage. So very exciting. That'll be in the lobby. So we'll make sure it's obviously right. We want to invest in a really nice case for that. It's such a special. We also, I guess in October, we did a nice partnership with the Tom Museum of Art. So we're able to work with staff there to supplement and exhibit to have making American artists. It's much longer name. So we have a team go up there, we brought a lot of stuff. It's sort of focused on cabinet curiosities, stuff. Charles Wilson did a painting. That was fun. Nice.
Wonderful ending to the exhibit, so we're very proud of our partnership.
They're very excited. So, and I think Joe mentioned we're working on special exhibits coming up. So we've got, of course, our Asian dinosaurs exhibit, and we've got a nice Smithsonian exhibit coming up in digital. It's a lot of things. And we're already working on exhibit plans beyond that. So grants and partnerships, we're already working at 2027. Both real exhibits, but also festivals. Any questions about fundraising?
I do want to say that this underscore Brian said the staff did a lot of work to roll their sleeves to make sure that we got a good plan in place with Milo starts on Monday, and that includes kind of getting some physical exhibits squared away. And I think the hard work was fueled by our board chair when they surprised the staff by dropping off donuts. And they very much appreciated that. So it really fueled the exhibit development.
That was the origin.
Well, she's dropping off donuts. You better work hard now. Thank you. Okay, and then the last that we of course cannot vote on a strategic plan, but as Ambry had advised us that we'd like, we can still post up online and just put a draft watermark over it. And frankly said, the staff are already beginning. There's a lot of what's covered in there. I just want to cover a few points so you receive a copy of it for next board meeting. If you're convenient, send another copy as well. So at any point you have questions about the activities or the objectives and or the timeline, please let us know. The few specific points to cover here, though, just want to point out that as we're looking forward to applying our new resources, new initiatives, and engaging new staff, they do tie back nicely to our objectives as spelled out. So for instance, Explorer Center is a specific objective number 2.4 in the plan. The Petra exhibit actually covers a couple of points in the strategic plan. regarding storytelling, engaging people with stories that come from behind the scenes done by the curators themselves. That's 1.3 and 1.7. For exhibit development, which ties to point 1.6, beyond waterways from the Smithsonian that Brian had mentioned, paleontology is in the preliminary stage of developing a trilobite exhibit, right? So I did not know how extensive our trilobites are, so that's very, very cool. The second thing is that we've identified legal sources for purchase of trilobite specimens that they range. I mean, you can get some very affordable trilobites. You can also, for a couple $1,000s, get some of these really adorned ones, the ones that are kind of spiny and so forth. If you've been to the Smithsonian Natural History Museum, Ocean Hall, they have a brilliant display of a personal collection that was donated to the museum years ago. And it's something that is very popular. So,
Did you know that trilobites are 3D now? With modern scanning techniques, they've got models that show dorsal, ventral, and the internal structures of trilobites. It's not just looking at the carapace anymore.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out for that. If there's some way of integrating some of the, at least the imagery of the whole beast instead of in addition to just impressions, that would be a real.
I'm sure Adam was aware of that. I wasn't.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we thought about, well, so for one, this is not gonna be a giant exhibit, and so we know going forward, we're gonna be agile, in that the special exhibit gallery, which right now has one exhibit, we've done this in the past effectively, subdivide it into a couple of different exhibits. So the trilobite exhibit may be one portion of that, but one thing that we really thought about was if we do get one of these really cool, adorned, spiny looking trilobites, to kind of really highlight to draw people into the exhibit, but then like a large backlit image of a world of trilobites. We thought would be really cool, but to have this 3D modeling.
I'll send you a link. You can see what's out there.
Yeah, I think it would be something very attractive to people. And then also, just for fun, I'm going to bring up that this was a foundation board member who pointed this out to us, but there's a music professor at Southern Methodist University who working with what do you call it, an industrial designer, they 3D printed from a scan of a duck-billed dinosaur, hadrosaur, ones with big cone on the top that helps with vocalization. They took a CT scan of one of these big fossils. This thing's huge. They 3D printed it so it's accurate on the outside, it's accurate on the inside. Now here's the technological part that I'm not familiar with. There's a gizmo that goes into the back of it, and you walk up to it, and based upon the shape of your mouth and the degree with which you exhale, it will then produce a sound that is magnified by the skull. So you're simulating the call of a hadrosaur, at least anatomically correct. Who the heck really knows, but it's gonna be great fun. I am sorry to say that where we put it in the gallery is directly under Christie's office. So if we cannot see her around the museum at the time of that one, and the folks that we're working with, they've been very generous. They're excited to have a museum display it. They also are loaning us the skull and the technology at no cost. So we just have to ship it, insure it, and return it. So, and we'll develop a bit of a hack sword that we do have some fossil collections that we want.
Well, in a COVID world, I consider maybe a microphone and a recording that be played inside this thing instead of everybody wandering in and blowing into it.
Yeah, well, you're not supposed to touch it, is all I'm.
Well, how do you get your mouth in there?
I don't know, but I'm sure this is something they thought about.
I'm sure.
And if we do come up with some kind of sanitary system, we'll invite you over for a test run.
Yeah.
We want to be unbiased.
Along with the museum app, I can see how this is going.
And then like those really cool trilobites, you could brand it with the
That's right.
like Claude, Claude.
Well, we're open to suggestions. I think so. I think it would be, bottom line, wanted to bring up that right from the beginning, we were planning this trilobite exhibit, especially since it is a reasonable size, to make it fully packageable, that we can package it up and rent it. So for those of you relatively new, Brian and his team had developed a whole business model in which when you rent, first of all, we undercut the commercial. folks, so we're much more affordable to folks, so we'll make good money on this. But the other thing to sweeten the deal is that as part of the price, we deliver it, and our technicians will help set up as well, but this one being relatively small, it's good. Yes, sir.
If I'm not mistaken, the name Claude came from a competition, the kids
Yeah.
suggested some names, so you got something similar to travel.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Spike would be there.
Write that down.
Or for a fee, you can name that.
And I don't know if you're gonna mention it, but the exhibits that were put up in Waynesboro along the trail,
Yes.
those signs are really great. There were, I think, it was 7 or 8, I think I'm not mistaken,
I
signs.
think it's 7.
Yeah, that were designed in conjunction with the Parks and Rec at Waynesboro along the Greenway. And the nice thing about them is not only are they great graphically, but they also have some touch elements to them. So there's some 3D printed bills of birds and
Tree bark.
Tree bark.
And there's one other, we did 3 interactive
And
elements.
the watershed, I think the watershed.
Oh, yeah, that's right, we have a 3D print of the South River.
Yeah.
Yeah, the South River watershed, it looks like Italy.
Yeah, and those have been really well received on social media. There's been a lot of those.
The 3D prints were done locally, our local 3D shop, whatnot, and so we still have funds. This was, of course, supported by Dominion Foundation, and Lisa Carter, of course, was a big advocate of that for us. And as such, we did come in actually way under budget. I mean, how that, we are under budget, and as such, we're work with Tom. We're delayed because of the changeover in exhibit manager, but we have some mountaintop identification graphics that we can use. So there's the newly opened Sunset Park on top of the mountain that overlooks Waynesboro, obviously west facing. And as such, we're going to have signs to identify the various mountains in the range that's to the west of the park.
Yeah, it's an incredible camera. You see Elliot Dog there, which is one of the last weeks.
I took my students down because we're working with the town of Crawford on the North River. And they wanted to have a river walk, but you have the bluffs going down like this, so there's no place to walk. So what we're doing instead is picking strategic areas that people can actually get to, but we're using those panels.
Very cool. And the last few bits of the strategic plan I'll point out are 1.9 and 1.10. The one, we're kind of contemplating farther down the line, an expansion of this building in the future. And as such, there's nobody here on staff that can create architectural drawings or, understands where a wing can go, where a wing cannot go. So as such, marrying the strategic plan with the foundation's fundraising endowment, we would probably like the use of those funds in the near future to hire an expert who can give us some of that initial advice, not a full-blown architectural plan, maybe you would just simply call it a master plan, but we'll have to think about developing that. And the same thing goes for developing our further connections with Wilson Park now that the pavilion is completed. So these will be some of the exciting things we get to think about as this institution grows and frankly matures. Like, thank you.
Okay, any other discussion, anything to add?
Pretty open so far. It's great.
All right, I will just mention that you have an envelope at your seat, and we'll be sure to follow up David and Mindy with you. It's just a reminder, if you are a member, if you're not, if it expired, and just as a board member, there are also upcoming events, and then our last donation to the board member. While we heard and celebrated the $4.5 million gift to the foundation, we're still here, the staff are doing all these things and showing up on Saturdays. The foundation has a meeting next Friday. They are still doing, I say bake sales, like the heavy lifting, to continue raising money. So just want to ensure that we're members and doing things to do our part, we support it as well. Because no one's stopping. And I don't have anything else, right? That's good. Okay. All right, thank you for traveling. Thank you, Elizabeth, Mindy, David, and Mindy, your cat almost distracted me from Art's presentation.
There was a
Oh,
cat.
and there was a cat. I had to look away. But thank you for joining us. Look forward to seeing you at the next meeting. Jennifer will follow up early next week with everyone, to consider possibly having all virtual meetings because our next, scheduled meeting is early February. And so it could be an inclement weather time. And so she's gonna follow up with a poll just to assess your availability. It will be important for us to have a quorum so that we can approve the things that we weren't able to today. So that'll either be a quorum in person or a quorum virtually. And one of the options will also be possibly having this meeting on a different day than Saturday, because if we're not traveling, then maybe it's more convenient for everyone to meet a different day, different time. So I'm just giving you a heads up, but if all else fails, we will be in person or virtual at the same time on a Saturday. That will still be an option. So
Need a forum.
we do need a quorum. So thank you for participating online. Thank you for being here, and I will adjourn.
Thank you, everybody.
You.
Thanks, Mindy, thanks.
It was good to
Dave.
meet you guys.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Yeah, thanks a lot.